Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our third webinar on coexisting with our wild friends. My name is Carolyn Tristino, the director of Poison Free Agoura. I am also an Old Agoura Homeowners Board member. We are excited to have Dennis Hemen, hospital manager for the California Wildlife Center, provide information on the center and give us insight on what to do if we encounter injured wildlife and more. Dennis will talk for about 40 minutes. As you are listening to the presentation, you can go ahead and type in questions in the Q&A, and he'll answer the questions at the end. We will be recording this webinar. And on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Dennis.
Hey, y'all. How's everyone doing today? I'm really excited to go over all this info about what we do here at California Wildlife Center. I'm always shocked. People that live 3 miles down the road from us don't know we exist sometimes. So always excited to get the word out. Like I said, I'm a hospital manager here at California Wildlife Center. I've been here for about 10 years. I started off as a volunteer and worked my way up to hospital manager. So I'm going to talk to you about how we can help our wild neighbors today. Give you a little bit of background about California Wildlife Center too. So California Wildlife Center is a 501c3 nonprofit. We do have a full-time vet on staff. We see 4,300 animals a year. Our money comes from generous donations and grants that we apply for. We don't have any kind of governmental assistance other than the occasional grant, like I said. But we're not a city or a county or a state organization. We're a true nonprofit. We take in over 160 species. We treat everything from a tiny hummingbird to a giant elephant seal here. We have a nice staff of 6 technicians, a surgical suite where we can do all of our exams and procedures. And like I said, we have a full-time vet on staff. So we're very, very lucky in that case. And we're actually on Pioneer Road in Calabasas, close to Saddle Peak Lodge. You guys all know where that is, I'm sure. If you have a pen and pencil, you can write down their number there. If you ever find any wildlife in need or you have any questions about wildlife, feel free to give us a call, or you can go to our website there at the bottom. And we have a lot of good information on our website that might be able to answer any questions you have. So our mission is to rehabilitate, rescue, treat native California wildlife. Otherwise, they would be left to suffer the effects of human encroachment, habitat destruction, environmental damage. I would say that almost all of our patients arrive at California Wildlife Center due to some kind of negative human interaction, whether it's hit by a car, caught by a cat, flying into a window. So these aren't natural occurring injuries that most of these animals are presenting when they show up at California Wildlife Center. So where do our patients come from? This is a big question I get asked all the time. Like, how do you guys get all these animals? Because I know a lot of people who have never found an injured animal laying on the side of the road or in their yard. But we get them, and we get a lot of them. So members of the public, we wouldn't exist if there weren't nice people out there finding injured wildlife, orphan wildlife, and bringing it to us. So members of the public bring us most of our animals. We also do some rescues. Most of our rescues are limited to Malibu and marine mammals. We do lots of seabird rescue also on the beaches, but that's about as far as our territory is as far as rescue goes. So most of the time people have to, if they can't drive the animal here, they take it to an animal shelter. And we do work with animal shelters in the East Valley Animal Shelter, West Valley Animal Shelter, West LA Animal Shelter, and the Agoura Animal Shelter. So we work very closely with them. Agoura brings us animals. It's very nice. The other shelters I mentioned hold them for us, and we send volunteers to go pick them up. We also get animals that are transferred from other facilities. For instance, there's International Bird Rescue in San Pedro who specialize in water birds. There's the Ojai Raptor Center in Ojai, who obviously specialize in raptors. We will get something in that we don't usually take, and we'll transfer it to International Bird Rescue. Every once in a while, they'll get a raven or something like that someone drops off at their place, and they transfer it to us. So we're constantly moving animals back and forth. We work really closely with other organizations. So another question I get asked is, what the heck do we do all day here? We're obviously very busy. We have almost 200 volunteers who are in and out at all times. We have interns during the summer. And like I said, all the staff members always running around this time of year, very, very busy, treating animals like this raven you'll see, this crow right here, you'll see had a broken wing, and we bandaged it up. When we get an animal in that someone's brought to us, we'll do a thorough exam. We'll check for wounds. All of our technicians are greatly skilled at finding injuries on these animals when they come in, and they'll either assign it to a vet or they'll take over the care themselves. And this is the wing of a northern flicker. It's a very pretty bird. It's like a big woodpecker. You can see these guys on the ground eating ants sometimes too. You see these orange shafts of the feather. They're also on underneath the tail. In the East Coast, these guys are called yellow hammers, and they have yellow barbs and or yellow shafts and yellow tail. Our vet will do any kind of eye exams. You can see this is our former vet, Stephanie Lewis, doing an exam on a great horned owl, looking into its eyes. It's just like you would take your pet to the doctor, or when you go to the vet, or when you go to the doctor and you shine the light in your eye, you look for any kind of injuries, any kind of damage to the lens or the retina. A lot of these big birds are hit by cars or flying to windows, and they hit it so hard that it does do damage to the eye. Sometimes it's a scratched cornea, which we can treat. Sometimes it's a lens luxation, which is something that we can't treat. So these animals are getting really messed up when they're colliding into cars or windows. Every animal gets a physical exam on presentation. This is a little nestling snowy egret here. Sometimes we want to make sure that we're extremely thorough, because sometimes we might miss something and the animal may not get looked at for another couple of days. So we want to really, really focus on these animals and try to find any kind of injuries during the initial exam when they show up. This is a ruddy duck that we had. You guys may know these by their bright blue bills they get during breeding season. This one did not present into the clinic during breeding season, but they're very pretty, but also very mean too. Some of the meanest ducks that we get. They can't do anything, but they really try. Another thing that we pay really close attention to is checking feather quality. Birds need their feathers to fly. So if they have any kind of damage done to their wings, their wing feathers like this bird has, would cause this animal not to be able to fly. This is a red-tailed hawk juvenile. And what we would have to do in this instance is cut these feathers off at the shaft where they're growing out. And we have donor feathers in a feather library here. And we can actually implant feathers from an animal that perished, unfortunately, into this animal's shafts using glue, and because the feathers are actually hollow, we can put kind of not a toothpick, but something that size made of metal, so it's a little sturdier, and this animal would be able to fly again. But we always want to make sure feather quality is great for birds. It provides them with the ability to fly, It also makes them waterproof. So if these birds aren't waterproof, when they get wet to the skin, and that's really bad for them. So we want to make sure all the feathers are in good shape whenever they're released. So we also do treatments while the animals are here. This is me tubing a golden eagle. So when animals are very stressed and they won't eat, in order for us to give them nourishment, we have to take these long rubber tubes, gently push them down their esophagus into their stomach, and we use a syringe to insert the nutrition into the liquid nutrition into their stomachs, while someone is holding the talons, which if this bird got loose from the person who was holding it and taloned me in my arm, it could break my arm. That's how strong they are. Here we are treating a gray fox. I know I really focus on birds, but 75% of our animals that we get into are birds, so it's going to be a lot of bird pictures. I'm a bird guy too, so I'm a little biased. But these foxes are really fun. So this is our native gray fox here, the only fox that can climb trees. Really cool. We get 3 or 4 of these a year. They're very secretive. People don't see them very often, but this one had a broken leg here that we were fixing on it. Here's an owl that you won't see very often. This is a long-eared owl with a broken wing. You can see the bandage that we put on it right here. We find these often in Malibu. Very strangely, I don't know why that's the only place we get them from, but we get a couple a year when they migrate in. You can see here, this is called an external fixator on a broken wing from a turkey that we actually got in. These fixators hold this bone in place, and there's actually a metal rod inside the hollow bone of the leg that is keeping the two bones together while they heal. And all of this will be removed once we do x-rays and have determined that this bone is healed. It takes a few weeks. So here's some trends. Percentages of types of animals that we get. 75% of our animals are birds, like I said. 24% are mammals, and then less than 1% are reptiles. We get western fence lizards and gopher snakes in mostly, but a few other species scattered in there too. So it's mostly birds. And when you go outside, you don't see a lot of fuzzy mammals running around. You see birds everywhere, in the tree, on the ground. They fly away when you get close to them. You have a bird feeder, they come. So it makes sense that most of our patients would be birds. It's mostly what we see when we go into nature. These are the percentages of the most prevalent species we get. You can see, probably makes sense here. You see a lot of squirrels, see a lot of rabbits out here. You see crows everywhere, and you see mourning doves everywhere. So that's not unexpected here. So 75% of the animals we get are mourning doves, crows, and fox squirrels. And then, like I said, there's a lot of cottontails out here. And mallards, we get hundreds of those. They invade your pool every summer, I'm sure. Here's Agoura Hills here. 6.6% of the animals that we get in come from Agoura. You can see the breakdown here. Large majority just comes from the Los Angeles area, 14% from Malibu, and you can see how the breakdown here. So thank you, Agoura Hills, for bringing us all those animals. So currently in our orphan care unit, we have a nice variety of species in there. This is the time of year where we get a lot of orphan birds in. We call it baby season. And it is really crazy time around here. So we have northern mockingbirds, house finches, towhees, dark-eyed juncos, western bluebirds. This is only a part of the total species that we get. In our ICU and outside right now, we have 7 coyote pups who are forming a pack. And we just got number 8 in today. It has a wound on its leg. We've got about 15 skunks that we raised, 6 fawn, baby deer. We're always full of hawks, red-tailed hawks and red-shouldered hawks, western screech-owl, and Cooper's hawks, always coming in. Here's a nice picture of one of our fawn friends here looking up at us. We actually wear a disguise when we go in with these guys so they don't get too used to humans. And then you can't see it here, but we actually feed them their bottles through holes that we have in the walls here, this small enclosure. These guys are raised and released on site. We released them sometime in October. So we're the only rehab center in Los Angeles County that raises orphan native songbirds. So we get a lot of them in, and other organizations do transfer them to us. So CWC takes in birds from 4 different counties, and you can see these 2 little puffballs here. Puffballs here are called common porwills, a very unusual patient, and these are only the number 3 and 4 babies that we've ever gotten in. We got these in a couple of years ago, but I have to show you the video. They're just little puffballs that hop around. These guys spend a lot of time on the ground. They are on the ground during the day. People think they're abandoned, unfortunately, but they nest on the ground and they get bird napped. But common porwheel is an insectivore that likes to fly around lights in the late afternoon and catch insects on the fly. This is actually a baby crow. So our young nestlings in the OCU are fed a formula similar to the mother's regurgitant. All right, so this is a part that's the most useful for everyone here. This is information about what to do when you guys find injured animals, orphaned animals, or an animal that you're concerned about. So it's very stressful when you find animals for the first time. We can definitely hear the stress on the phone when you answer the phone. So this is your cry for help. Number 1, the most important thing to remember, call us first. Please don't bring animals in without calling first. We'll have you guys send a cell phone picture of the animal. That way we can confirm that it's a species that we take, and that way we can also confirm that it's an animal that needs to be taken into rehab. So if you find an animal that needs help, first thing you want to do is get a box, line it with the towel in the bottom, put some air holes in the box. So you pick up the animal by the body and place it in the box. Now, picking the animal up by the body depends on what kind of animal it is. If you find an adult coyote, please don't pick it up. This is animals that won't hurt you, that aren't rabies vectors like skunks, foxes, bats, coyotes, bobcats, things like that. Leave them alone. But this is for like baby rabbit, a bird. Raptors are a different story. You need to turn your box sideways and kind of scoop them in with a broom or something. Don't pick those guys up without gloves. They'll do some really bad damage to you. So you want to seal the box, place it someplace quiet, like a bathroom, until you can call us. Put a heating pad set to low under half the box if the animal appears like it needs some extra warmth. And please don't put any food or water in there. You don't know what it eats. If you put the water in there and transport it, water can spill on the animal, and if it's cold, they can actually perish from getting wet. Baby birds. It's a tough time of year for baby birds. I know you're going to want to bird nap a lot of them, but sometimes you just need to leave them alone. So leave them alone if she's a nestling, but is unharmed, and you can put her back in the nest. So it's a fable that if a bird smells that you've touched their baby, that they'll abandon the nest. That's not true. So if you know where the animal came from, please, by all means, pick the baby that's fallen out of the nest, put it back in. If she's a fledgling, which means fully feathered, like this bird in the picture, able to perch and grasp with their feet and able to hop around, it would normally be fed on the ground by its parents. So this bird right here is a northern mockingbird. This is a fledgling. It's fully feathered. It can hop around, it can perch. What this bird would do is live on the ground for a little while the parents would know where they're at, and the baby would peep, and they'll fly down and they'll feed it every once in a while, and maybe scampers off somewhere into a bush or a shrub and hides out. It's a natural thing for these birds. They disperse because if they're in the nest and they're this size and there's like 5 of them in the nest, number one, it's not big enough. Number two, they're sitting predators. One sitting ducks for predators. One predator could come along, knock out a whole generation of birds. This way they disperse and they kind of hedge their bets. So baby birds, bring them in if the parents are known to be dead, which is a tricky one. Always call us. The bird is newly hatched, can't perch, not fully feathered, and the nest is out of reach. If she has an injury, we would need to take the bird in. Sometimes a child may have found them somewhere else, like a playground, and brought them home and have had them for a couple of days. We would need to take them in if you don't know where they came from. And if your pet, cat or dog, has bitten the animal, we definitely need it. I'll show you guys, this is a picture of a nestling mourning dove, or a video of a nestling mourning dove. So this is the behavior these birds do when they're hungry, and they're always hungry. They always want to be fed. This is a good example of a nestling. So this is a bird that would need to come to California Wildlife Center if you found it, and you cannot get it back into the nest. So what we do here is we make artificial nests for them to hang out in. We line one of these crocheted nests with some toilet paper, and the bird hangs out in there. We clean it several times a day. And then once they get older, this is a good example of one of our inside enclosures. This is before they go into an aviary. These are fledgling house finches here. We'll set up berries here to teach them, we call these kebabs, teach them how to grasp and pull the berries off like they would in nature. And you can see this one right here is having a really good time, like chewing on the strawberry. We actually hang this is a spray millet, get them to learn how to grasp and pull things off of the branch. This is a good before and after picture. These are baby common portwills like I showed you the video of, and this is what they look like when they're adults. Very cool looking birds. People think they're baby owls, but they're actually not. This is a nice video of some nestling house finches getting fed. This is how we feed them inside the orphan care unit. Baby elephants have these tiny syringes, formula drip. They're always hungry. You can hear they're in their nice little toilet paper nest. They're like their moms. Here's a nice collage of some of the baby birds we have in our orphan unit right now. This is a tiny jelly bean hummingbird, an older hummingbird, mourning dove, and then an older mourning dove. This is a good example of a fledgling that you would leave alone on the ground. You can see that it has most of its feathers. Orphan baby squirrels nest from March to June, and August to October. So after the birds I just showed you cleared out, these guys come in. Orphan squirrels can sometimes be reunited if they're not injured. The tree needs to be monitored for a few hours, and if it's not really scorching hot or freezing cold outside. Don't give them any food or water. You place them in the shoebox, and you tie it to the tree where you found it. Don't put a whole lot of stuff in the shoebox. Make sure it's kind of shaded too. The baby will make noises. The mom will either repair the nest or carry the baby back over to her second nest. Squirrels usually make 2 nests. They have a backup. So she'll pick the baby up, carry it to the next nest, or carry it up to the repaired nest. It takes about 5 hours we give them. But always call California Wildlife Center for guidance for this. Hummingbirds nest February to July. One of the earliest animals and baby animals we get here, or baby birds that we get here. If you find one of these guys on the ground, you want to get a small box and line it with some crumpled tissue. Make a fake nest for it. You can offer them a 4-to-1 sugar water mixture, 4 parts water, 1 part sugar. Use a straw as a pipette, dip it in there, and the baby hummingbirds can drip drink the drips off the straw. Be sure not to get any sugar water on the bird though, and call California Wildlife Center immediately if you happen to find one of these birds on the ground. Here's an example of a hummingbird egg. You can see that next to a quarter. It's amazing how small these are. And here's a hummingbird egg compared to a regular chicken egg. They're just absolutely teeny tiny little jelly beans. Marine mammals, really quickly, if you guys are on the beach, if you find a stranded seal or sea lion, don't touch, pick up, harass, feed, or pour water on the animal. Leave it alone. Stay 50 feet away. Give us a call, okay? And we'll come out and check it out, and maybe we'll ask you for a cell phone picture of it. These animals actually haul out on the land to rest. Sometimes doesn't necessarily mean they're injured. You might see a lot of wet spots around their eyes. That doesn't mean they're crying. Just it means they're actually well hydrated. But if you ever find a seal or sea lion on the beach and you're concerned about it, be sure to give us a call. These bass, deer, bobcats, coyotes, foxes, raccoons, and adult skunks, don't touch them, like I said. These animals can carry rabies, but it's extremely, extremely, extremely rare for them to have rabies. We just don't want anyone to get hurt trying to bring these animals to us. So make sure you call your local animal control agency if you find any of these animals that need help. You can, of course, call us first, and we can give you some guidance or some phone numbers too. So easy things that you guys can do to help wildlife: dispose of your trash. This poor skunk's got looks like some kind of container stuck around its head. I had a friend of mine pull up with a skunk that he saw walking around in circles on Las Virgenes Road. Had a yogurt container over its head. Yoplait, I think, is the name of the brand, where they're narrow at the top, wide at the bottom. Terrible for wildlife. They even have a little thing on the back that says, "Please crush this can to save wildlife." But because it's so narrow, animals get their heads stuck in it. And yogurt's a favorite treat when people are camping. Skunks love to go and raid your campsite when you're gone. So don't leave pet food outside unattended. You're going to draw other predators there too. It causes animals to mingle too, where they normally wouldn't. Sharing diseases is never good. A lot of these animals are solitary, and to have a communal place for them to eat from is very bad for them. So find non-toxic ways to rid your home of rodents. Please don't use poison. Obviously, I don't think I need to go into that, but rodenticide poison hurts more than just rodents. The birds of prey that eat it, bobcats, coyotes, mountain lions, it really does bad. It really does a number on these guys. We see so many bobcats with mange, so many coyotes with mange. Pretty much all of our raptors have some kind of rodenticide poisoning in them when we have tested them. We see if we see a wound that's rather minor, bleeding profusely, or a lot of bruising under the skin, we'll assume rodenticide poisoning. Sometimes animals come in just really down, emaciated. We can't figure out why. I think some of that's due to rodenticide also. We actually give them vitamin K, which helps restore some of the clotting qualities of their blood, if we even think for a second that they've been poisoned. Glue traps are awful, terrible. Never, ever, ever, ever use them outside. You never know what you're going to get. This is an unfortunate baby gopher snake here. You can see a couple of intended targets too. That's probably after. You leave these outside, you're going to get wrens, towhees, any kind of ground-dwelling bird is going to come over here and get stuck in these. These are just terrible to leave outside, and I don't really like people to use them inside. But the luckiest snake in the world brought it to us, and it was alive. We managed to pull it off of the glue trap, give it a wash, and release it. What an amazing, lucky little snake there. More things you can do to help wildlife: slow down. So I see so much roadkill on Las Virgenes Road when I drive into work each day. It's very sad. So we cared for 46 animals that were reportedly hit by cars in 2020. I'm sure we got many, many more. People find these animals sometimes far away from the road. They've been hit and they manage to crawl or fly a little bit of ways. These are just animals that have been seen, hit, or found right by the road. I'm sure the numbers are very, very much higher than this. Trim trees only when birds and squirrels are not nesting. The best time is November to January. That's when you're going to be really good. You don't have to worry too much about what's in that tree. If anyone tells you they're able to see a nest in a tree and they won't cut that tree down if they see a nest, they are not telling you the truth. This is a hummingbird nest. It's about this. It's less than the size of a tennis ball. It's somewhere between a golf ball and a tennis ball. No one's going to see this. No one's going to see this. They're not telling you the truth. So just don't trim during these times of year. If you absolutely can't wait, just whatever you do, please don't trim during the spring and summertime. There's so many birds nesting, and they really do need our help. The songbirds that we take care of are in big trouble, and probably the most trouble of all the species of animals that we get in. If you have a problem window that birds keep flying into, you can use bird tape to put on the window. Birds see in the different UV spectrum than we do. They see UV light, and it makes these windows look like solid structures. So the bird tape prevents them from flying into it. Plant local native plants in your yard. I mean, this is an easy and beautiful thing that you can do for birds. I started doing it at my house, and I love it. It's so cool to get into. You can go to this website, calscape.org, find plants that are native to your zip code. Which makes them grow easier, requires less water. These birds use the plants for nectar. They use it for nesting material. They'll eat the berries that grow on the plants, and they eat the bugs that the plants attract. So you can't lose by planting California natives and even very local natives in your garden. Clean your feeders and waters all the time. You go to Audubon, the Audubon website. They'll give you great instructions on how to clean your feeders and waters. They recommend at least once a week for hummingbird feeders. I was doing mine twice a week because I had to. Boiling water is good to clean them out with. They'll give you some advice there on their website, the best thing to use. The number one thing you can do to help wildlife, keep your cats inside. We had 225 cat-caught animals in 2020, which is a lot. You can see this red-tailed hawk's giving you a stink eye. Cats are killers. I know it's controversial, but they are. Billions of birds every year. Even if they're not hungry, they're out there playing with birds, killing them. This is feral cats, outside cats, doesn't matter. They are killing billions of birds a year, and it's causing rapid decline in all their populations. Another reason why we get animals in here at California Wildlife Center from human impact are gunshots. So we had 27 confirmed shot animals in 2020. Now this means that we did an X-ray like we did on this bird here, and we saw the actual bullet in its leg. That's a pellet there. Plenty of other animals come in with injuries that look like gunshots, but we can't confirm it, so we don't call them shot. These are the only animals that have unfortunately had the bullet left inside of them. So it is illegal to shoot these birds in LA. And I know a lot of people have pellet and BB guns. I know a lot of young kids out there being unsupervised, I think, are shooting some of these birds too. Right here, this is the culmination of all of our work here at California Wildlife Center. This is a release of a tiny bird called a dark-eyed junco. I love this video because we always post hawk videos or seal videos of these giant animals getting released. And actually, most of the animals that we care for probably fit in palm of your hand. There you go. So that's why we do what we do. We are 100% dedicated to the rescue, the rehabilitation, and release of animals here at California Wildlife Center. We're not a sanctuary. We keep wild animals wild. So that is what all of our work's about. All the money that we put into this place is returning animals into the wild. And then here's the grandest of them all. This is about as big as you can get here as far as raptors go around here. This is a golden eagle that we treated. I believe this release is up by Grapevine.
Go ahead.
Might be the coolest release video that we have. That's a big bird. The wingspan on that bird is at least 6 feet. And like I said, that's the one I was tube feeding earlier in the slide. And their talons are strong enough to break your arm if they got loose. But they are some voracious predators. Very cool bird, though. Why we do what we do. So
Go ahead.
I really appreciate you guys coming by here with us today. I see we got some questions in there. I want more questions. If you have them, I'll click on them here. Someone's favorite visitor is a skunk. I gotta tell you, I love skunks. They are my favorite mammal. We get in lots of babies here, and I really, really enjoy when I get to feed one of the babies when I'm not doing other things. They're so cool. We got in 15 or so skunks this year, babies, getting ready to be released, fattening them up. We give them a nice diet of soaked dog food, boiled eggs. We actually give them leftover fish from the marine mammal feeds too. They love. They're doing good. They're doing good. Any other questions here, Carolyn? Some are in the chat, I think.
Let's see here. A comment on to start working, getting speed limits on Las Virgenes and Canaan lowered.
Oh yeah.
As so many roads around here.
Yeah. That would be very helpful. Just some of it is distracted driving too. So don't text while you're driving down Don't text while you're driving down any road, but please don't text while you're driving down Las Virgenes. I see too much roadkill on that road. It's awful. It's just terrible. Any other questions? Now's your chance. Guess not, huh? Do you have any questions for me, Carolyn?
I just learned a lot about the center. I got a lot of ahas today, and I appreciated you taking the time to speak with all of us today and help us understand what to do if we do see any injured wildlife. And it's just surprising the percentage of animals. I thought that was really interesting that are coming in, and 75% birds.
Yes, that's what we see when we go outside. So it makes sense that would be the majority of the animals that we get in.
I did have a question. Are there any animals that you do not take at the center?
Absolutely, yes. So we are committed to caring for native birds only here. So our native wildlife sometimes is under attack from outside invasive species that bring in diseases, take up resources. So we've decided that we're only going to dedicate ourselves to taking care of native birds. The non-native birds that you see that we don't take are house sparrows, which is very common. They're everywhere. But one of the reasons why we don't take them is they're cavity nesters, and they take up the nests that a woodpecker might occupy, or another cavity nester. They will actually go in and take the babies out and take the nest over, or push eggs out and take the nest over. So they're very aggressive animals. Luckily, they like to live close to humans, so you don't see a whole lot once you get out in nature. But that is common species that we don't take here. The other ones include rock pigeons, but we do take native band-tailed pigeons, European starlings, and there's a new invasive species called a Eurasian collared dove. We don't take here either. White ducks. The white ducks you might see at a pond or a lake, we don't take those. Those are domestic animals, so we don't take the domestic animals either. Let's see. Okay, I got a question about volunteer opportunities. Absolutely. We rely on volunteers for, we wouldn't be able to run without volunteers. So you go to our website, sign up for an orientation, and we'll invite you in, or I think we're still doing Zoom ones. We require a 1 day a week shift for, I think it's 6 months. So don't volunteer unless if you have plans to go out of town for 2 months, or you won't be able to, you're going to miss a big chunk. So we like people to be here for a long time and learn everything before they start taking off. So we do require a little bit of a commitment, and you need to be 18 and up. So check out our website.
Oh, and there was a question too about what are some of the things that people can volunteer to bring to the center? You know, what are some of the items, like sheets or things?
Absolutely. So on our website, we have a wish list. We also have a link to our Amazon wish list too. If you guys can follow us on Instagram, that would be awesome. We post on there almost daily. Lots of cool pictures and videos of current patients. And if we need anything in the moment, we'll post it on Instagram. Sometimes we need pillowcases, and we'll put it on Instagram, and the next thing I know, 500 of them show up. It's great. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook. You'll see our list. We always need the boring basics though. We go through tons of bleach, tons of toilet paper, tons of paper towels, stuff like that. Your unfun things are the things that we use the most. But always check the list and give us a call if you have anything special.
And there's another question here on rat poison disposal. There's an Agoura Hills door-to-door residential collection program. I think the next pickup is in August. What I can do is, if you send me an email, I can give you that information. The other disposal sites, one is in Northridge as well. So I'll send that to you. I'll send it to everybody who's on this webinar after the webinar.
Oh, do the safe sites take the rodent rat poison? Do you know the safe sites?
I know that Northridge is a site.
Definitely don't throw it away.
Yeah.
Please.
Any other questions? Well, Dennis, thank you so much for this informative presentation. I don't think I'm alone that I didn't learn a lot. I'm sure others did too. And we thank you for taking the time out. I thank everybody who is on the webinar today. Thank you very much for spending your lunch with us.
Yeah.
And we hope that it was a good learning experience for you.
Thanks for inviting me, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Always good to get the word out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Have a nice day.
You too. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.